Welcome. This is the Public Works Podcast. My name is Joseph Blackman, and today we got a real treat for you. Her name is Lucia Diaz, and she is the manager of facilities and water system programs for Inland Empire Utilities Agency in beautiful Chino, California. Lucia, say what's up to everybody.
Hi, everyone.
All right, let's see it. So you're the manager of facilities and water system programs, Inland Empire Utilities Agency. First off, let's go over Inland Empire Utilities Agency. A lot of people know counties, cities, treatment plants and stuff like that. What is Inland, like, give us the scope of Inland Empire Utilities Agency, kind of what you guys are over, and then we'll talk about your job description and what you actually do.
Okay, so IEUA is a water district. It's a wholesaler. We actually maintain, we actually have 4 regional water recycling facilities to serve over 900,000 residents, and we have a service area of about 242 square miles. So we handle wastewater treatment and compliance, water recycling, and the production of really high quality recycled water. And then we have biosolids and energy recovery. So we have one of the largest indoor composting facilities in North America.
Indoor.
Indoor.
Okay.
Indoor. Yes.
Okay.
It's actually, yes, it's pretty significant.
Yeah, it sounds like it. So pretty big scope of work, 900,000 people, and you're the manager of facilities and water system programs. Kind of tell us what the job description is supposed to be. And we know it's different what you actually do. So tell us what your job actually does.
So what I do is I oversee facilities management, sewer collection systems, our recycled water system, and then our groundwater recharge program. And then I also handle the agency's physical security. So all those areas are under my purview of responsibility. So I've been doing that probably for the last 3 years. But before that, I was over facilities management and the sewer collection. So basically, all the conveyance systems going in and out of our treatment plants is what I'm responsible for. And then all the other assets for the agency that are not directly in the treatment process. That helps. So it's okay. Funny because I've been with the agency for 19 years now. And I always say that, I didn't plan on wastewater. I kind of just fell into it.
Most people say. You said physical security.
Yeah.
That's a new term for me. Explain that.
Well, because there's cyber security and physical security. So I don't handle cyber security. That is in our information technology department. I handle more, securing our physical assets and our staff.
Gotcha. Makes sense. Okay. All right. Well, now you need to give us the day in the life of Lucia Diaz. From the time you get to the office to the time you leave, walk us through a random Tuesday for Lucia.
Oh, a random Tuesday. Well, before I come in, I'm dropping off my kids because I have 2. Once I get in, while I'm doing that, I'm usually on a call. My day starts pretty early, talking to my team, checking in on, let's say, today, for example, I talked to one of my guys, and he called me around 7, kind of going over the plan for the day, some things he wanted to go over with me regarding his team. And then from there, we kind of just check in on other things going on for the holiday week, because this is a holiday week that we're in, and what coverage we have, just to make sure, because it's one of our heaviest times, if we need to have additional support and who's going to be available. So he's just kind of reminding me of what the plan was. And then from there, I get into the office, I walk in, and usually my admin, he's there, like, checking in, making sure I'm good, giving me a rundown of some of the things that are waiting for me on his end, and a couple people that want to set up a meeting with me. then I get into my office and I just start going. I start going through my list of what I set up from the day before and start going through all my to-do items that I need to get done for the team and also for myself. And then sometimes I'll have people coming in, knocking. One of my other supervisors will come in that's over facilities, wanting to talk about a contract that's coming up, or a program that he has, or let's say there's a repair that came up. So we'll go over that, talk about those things. We'll also check in, see how he's doing, see how the evening went for him. If we had any calls on the security side that we need to go over. And then from there, I just look at my calendar and go to all the meetings that I probably will have. And usually I go into back-to-back meetings, and in between, I try to make time to deal with the things that I need to handle. And then sometimes I'll get lunch. Some days I'll have, well, sometimes it's not a dedicated lunch where it's like I can focus on things. A lot of times it's I'm actually in a meeting during lunch and I'm getting fed during that lunch meeting, or I'm doing a lunch and learn and learning about a new technology that they brought in a lunch.
Yeah.
And then after that, if I have a 30-minute break or a 10-minute break, I'm checking emails, making sure I didn't miss anything that's coming up, or I'll have text messages coming through as it goes. So it's constant. It's constantly going. And usually around 5 p.m., like the meetings stop. Well, 4 p.m., my meetings are stopping. So that last hour, like 4 to 5, I'm trying to touch base with people before they head out. And then I'm usually here a little bit longer after that, and trying to go through everything, make my list for the next day, see what I was able to get done and what wasn't done. And then usually one of my team members is coming in to check in, see how things are going. And sometimes they just want to talk. And so, I make time for them to sit and listen to what they have to say. I've noticed at my level that I'm at right now, a lot of my day-to-day interactions is just listening.
Really?
And hearing people out.
Okay.
Say that again?
Like why now versus, let's say, your position before this? Like, were you more dictating or telling people what to do? And now you're kind of just...
I think it's because, one, I've been at the agency for so many years that I've become a resource for others, even outside of my own team. And then also, sometimes they didn't see me for the day and they want to check in. They're like, hey, I didn't get a chance to see you at this meeting or that. Do you have a chance to talk about this? And I was like, sure, like, let's go over this project. Let's talk about it. Or sometimes other managers will come and be like, hey, Lucia, do you have a minute? I want to talk to you about this capital project that's coming up. I'm like, okay, can we defer it? How urgent is it? Like, we're kind of like trying to start some justification of what the risk is. And I'm like, no, I need it today. Like, let's not push it out anymore. So that's having a lot of those conversations. But then also some of the line staff will come in because they've come in from the field, they're done. Yep. So they want to check in with me, or they're calling me because I have guys at other facilities that are not where I'm at physically. So they'll call and check in and just kind of run through like anything significant that they would want me to know. And they'll call and tell me.
Yeah.
And I listen in. And my biggest question is like, is there anything that you need from me? Do you need any support from me? And then if they've made a decision, they want to just make sure I know that the decision that they've made. And I usually ask like, well, why did you go that route? And okay. And then once I understand their why, it helps me justify defending why they went that route. If I need to.
Gotcha.
So that
sounds like a full day. That's a lot.
That's once in a while I get lucky and I have like a good break and I'm like, all right, I can get some stuff that I've been planning on doing.
That you've been planning on doing.
Yeah.
Sure. I'm sure it feels good to be in that position where you kind of just, I don't know, they come and lay on your couch and you kind of do the woo saw and and get them sorted. But let's talk about your career path. And you haven't been in this position forever. But I
No.
want to know, just because there's probably somebody younger listening to this episode and saying, hey, I want to be her one day. I want to be in her position one day. So walk us through from high school all the way up into today and all the steps you took to get to where you're at today.
Oh, high school. That's taking me back, sir. Well, I graduated from high school. I went straight into college. But while I was in high school, I was also, my dad owns a construction company. So I was very immersed in that world from a very young age. So it really dictated a lot of who I am today and what I do and how I work in a very male dominant world that I'm in industry. So it's
Is it
come very
really?
easy to me because I
Yeah.
started so young.
Yeah.
But so I understood the business aspect. I understood contractors and how they worked. And so
Mm,
when I was working for my dad and then I started going to college, I really I knew I wanted to do something related to business and helping on the financial side. I didn't necessarily want to run a company. I did not because I just saw
why?
it's a lot, especially when you have a family. It's a lot, and it's not consistent all the time. There's ups and downs, and there's
Yes.
hardships, and so you got to plan for those hardships and be prepared. And it's a lot of stress for one person to carry on. And so I saw how my dad went through that, with three girls and my mom. So, and it was a family business. So, when it was up, it was great. When it was, there were some hard times during certain economies. It's rough. You're trying to find those jobs and get those proposals. So yeah, I saw that and I was like, well, I don't know if I really want to take that route. But my parents didn't really give me a decision. It was either go to college or you're gonna start working.
Okay.
So I
Okay.
was like, I'm gonna go to school because I can stay at home and they're gonna help me. But if I wasn't gonna go to school, you know, I had to start figuring out life.
Yep.
And so went to college. I graduated in 4 years. I was in a sorority when I was in college. I did that, and I continued on even as after I graduated, participated as an alumni, and then was an advisor while I was working. But before I graduated, during school, I was working for a retail company that was, at the mall. And so I worked with them for my last 2 years of college. And then probably 6 months before I was going to graduate, my goal was to find that big girl job that I wanted. I really wanted to
It's
find
so tough. Yeah.
that job that I was going to have when I graduated because I didn't want to
Yeah.
graduate and be like, okay, what am I going to
Yep.
do now?
Yeah.
And because I saw some of my friends struggling and I was like,
That was me. Yeah.
yeah, I didn't.
Graduate. You like what now? You're in your parents'
Yeah.
house. Like what?
You're
Got this
like,
degree, but
now what? So I wanted to have a plan. I've always been a person with a plan and a list. So they had a position open at the corporate office for the retail storefront that I was working at. And so I went for it. It was in their real estate department to a construction person. It was doing tenant improvement. And with my background already in the construction industry, and then with my degree, and then working at the retail chain for so long, I got my first job in corporate, and I worked in Anaheim. So that was it shouldn't take so long to get there, but with California, Southern California traffic, it was like 2 hours there, 2 hours back. And so
wow.
I started working there before I graduated. So my last 2 months of college and my coursework, I was driving from Anaheim, going all the way to northern San Bernardino to go to Cal State San Bernardino and just kind of finish out. And but I did it, and I worked there for a few years, and I was getting tired of the drive. And I had a friend that was a recruiter, and so she was like, "What are you looking to do?" I'm like, "At this point, I'll do anything that's in the Inland Empire." And here's my resume. So she took my resume, gave it to her team, and then they put me on more on the construction side. And then I got a call for an interview for at Inland Empire Utilities Agency
Oh, okay.
for a construct. They called it back then. It was called a construction coordinator.
Mm.
And so basically, you were running projects, you were inspecting projects, so you were handling a lot. And so I went to the interview. I did not think I got the job. I was like, yeah, I don't know if this went well. And then I got a
Why?
call. Well, I didn't have an answer to a lot of the questions they had.
That's fair to think that
I was
after
like,
that. Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I don't think it's gonna work out. But I was honest with what I did know and what I was able to bring to the table. And I don't have an answer to that, but this is how I would figure it out. And that's kind of how I responded to a lot of those questions that I didn't know. Instead of saying, well, I don't know, I made
Where
an
do you think
effort.
you learned that to not say, to say like, hey, I don't know, but here's what I would do if I was in that position. Like they don't teach that. So where do you learn that?
Probably from my dad and
Yeah.
my grandfather. There's never an I don't know response, or you always had to, well, why? You had to come up with your why and justify why you
Uh,
didn't know something, or how are you going to
yeah.
figure it out. My
Yeah.
dad was always like, you got to figure it out if you're going to learn. So
Yeah.
that's kind of where that stemmed from like that family culture that we had. But yeah, so I got hired on, and it's always hard because I was the first female I had ever hired in that role back then. And I say back then because it was a different time then in the industry, in the wastewater industry. There wasn't a lot of people that look like me.
Understand.
And
Yeah.
so, I was a female, I was Hispanic,
Yeah.
I was very young.
Mm,
I was in my early to mid 20s.
wow. Yeah.
And so, the person that took a chance on me, his name was David Mendez, and he was my supervisor, and he took a chance on me and saw something. And I remember my first day, one of the the deputy managers told me, he doesn't work here anymore, but he told me, he's like, yeah, we don't really think you're gonna make it, like we're gonna give you this project, but we don't think you'll make the first few weeks. I was like, oh, okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
So that was a challenge that I was going to meet.
Okay.
I was
Yeah.
going to show you, one, I'm going to prove to Dave that he made the right choice, and I'm going to prove the other guy's wrong. And
Yeah.
so that's kind of how I started at IEUA, is just
Wow.
proving what I could do, and that I didn't know someone here at the agency to get the role.
Yeah.
I got it on my own merit.
There's a lot of
And
that. Yeah.
yeah, and so they gave me a project that was over budget and running behind schedule.
Like here you go. Make this into a
Figure it
cupcake.
out.
Yeah.
And that project ended up being our Chino Creek Wetlands and Educational Park. It's a 22-acre wetlands park that we have here that is just, it's awesome to have a project that you can see and so many people from the public get to use and love so much. So yeah, that's kind of been like, that's been my baby, like my
Yeah.
project. And then from
Yeah.
there, I ended up, I had to have volunteers. I had to get donations. I had to work on Saturdays and Sundays with volunteer people while working during the week. And so it was a lot of different skill sets happening at the same time that I was showcasing, not realizing it. You don't realize what you're doing until other people start pointing it out, like, oh, okay. And so I got promoted to manage the site, because there was it was grant funded. So there was a lot of things that had to be done, like an education program, volunteers, all those things.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so my skill set that I did learn from being in a sorority and doing foundation work and volunteer work and having a network helped me with this project, because I pulled from the Greek system from the different colleges to come
I'm
do
sure like
volunteers.
all the skills you attained over your time just help with this one project for sure.
Yeah, so I grew, and then over time I just started, one of the biggest things I tell a lot of people is I said yes to a lot of opportunities and work that would come my way. And, a lot of times you're not going to get that extra pay or that extra money because, it's part of that little section in your job description that says other duties as assigned. Right.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But, I really took advantage of it, and I was like, you know what? This is an experience that I probably wouldn't have gotten otherwise. And I'm going to learn how to do this, and I'm just going to do it and take it on. And it's been a huge opportunity for me to increase my experience and knowledge on different parts of this agency because of those opportunities that came my way. I said yes to. And it's funny because a lot of people are like, "Oh, you worked on that too?" And I go, "Oh yeah, I was part of that. And I helped over here and I did this." And a lot of people are surprised. They're like, "Oh, you have knowledge on that management plan?" I go, "Yeah, I helped write it." But that was like, I don't know, 15 years ago. But people
Yeah.
ask me now, I'm like, "Oh yeah, I remember that program. That was this, and I'll go through the different parts of it. And we have a lot of new people here that are like, "Oh, I was wondering how that started." I was like, "Well, this is how. This is.
Because I did it. Yeah.
Or I was part of the group that worked on it, or I was,
Yeah.
part of the team that did this." And so, and it helped with my network
Sure.
and the resources that I have today. Um, but yeah, and eventually got to a point where I was a supervisor, and I was in a supervisor role for a good, I would say, 7 years. And I wasn't seeing any movement. I was applying to roles, and it wasn't connecting. And I don't know if others saw what I could bring. And then I had one of my he eventually became my boss. Um, he and I worked together a lot. Another supervisor that became a deputy manager, and he really saw a lot in me. And you have a mentor, then you also have an advocate, and that advocate is someone that really helps you through those doors and gives you those opportunities.
Need those. Yeah. Yeah.
And so having him be that for me in this very male-dominated industry and agency at the time, really, the one thing he always told me is just make sure you have everything on paper so they can't tell you no to an interview.
Oh, yeah. Makes sense.
So
Yeah.
I did that, and that's how I ended up going into collections on the collection side, because I had my line inspection experience there and doing a lot of pipeline work. So that actually helped me on the collection side, and so I started helping the other deputy manager that was handling it and doing more training, and I got my certification through CWA, and that's kind of where I started stepping into CWA. And
Okay.
yeah, and then eventually now I applied for the deputy manager when the other person got promoted, and that my old supervisor, he helped me. I did a lot of practice when it comes to interviewing, some mock interviews to help me prepare because it had been 13 years from one interview to the next. I was a little rusty.
Yeah. How do you
Um,
do this again?
like, what are the questions nowadays? It's been a long time. So that was helpful. And I ended up getting the deputy manager role over facilities and sewer collections. And then we had some movement and a reorg here at the agency. And then they promoted me and put me into the manager role. And so that's when I took over groundwater recharge and the recycled water side of the business. And then they added the security. So it just kind
Wow.
of grew on its
Yeah.
own, and I created the facilities group because we didn't have one here. So it just kind of
Yeah.
evolved.
No, it sounds like the steps that you made once you got on in the Inland Empire Utilities Agency kind of came organically. It was
Mhm.
oh, this is the next step I'm going. People, oh, this is what I want next. This is after that, and here's the path, and here's how much I'm gonna make after that. It was kind of like you just felt your way through, like just vibed it. One thing I want to kind of touch on the women aspect. The guy I think for anybody that would place a chip on one's shoulder when they say we don't think you're ready for this, we think you're going to fail, we think you're going to burn out, whatever. How does one, or does one, continue to carry that chip? Like, what would you say to the women, like when your mindset shifted from you still having the chip, or knocking that chip off and saying, I'm actually competent, I deserve to be here, I can do this job? So can you talk through that a little bit?
I don't know if it was like a chip on my shoulder, but it was more like, it was funny when I got the role here and I was going to be in the construction department. I remember talking to my dad, and my dad warned me, "Hey, you're a young female coming into a very male dominated industry, and some of those guys, they think a certain way. They have an old school mindset. You're going to have to do your best to just push through it, And remember, it's nothing personal to you and what you have to offer. You're going to have to show them how different you are. And I remember him just saying, always remember it's nothing personal. And it's, you don't want to tell another female, like in my shoes, like it's nothing personal, but you just kind of have to deal with it because we shouldn't have to.
Yeah.
We shouldn't. But at the time that I was coming in, during that time in the industry, we hadn't seen that paradigm shift yet. It hadn't happened yet. So it's happened and it's happening. I'm in it. But I always have to just remember, like, yeah, they may think of me a certain way, but I'm also going to show them, like, I need to prove to them that a female can do this, because I want them there to be more women after me.
Yep.
And I don't want them to think, well, oh, she didn't handle it, so no other woman's going to be able to handle it.
Can't hire anymore. Yeah.
And so I took that burden, like, no, you're going to see what I can do, because I'm going to be able to showcase my skill set that's really going to help benefit you.
Yeah.
And at that time, I was the only non-engineer that was hired in that role. All the other guys that were hired with me, and I say guys because it was just guys.
Yeah.
They were all engineers.
Wow.
They had just graduated college with their engineering degree. I had already been working in corporate for 2 years before I started here, about 2.5, almost 3 years before I started working here at IEUA. So I had a little bit more of the project management experience working under other managers. So I was able to bring that with me. But I also had a strong financial background and skill set, because my degree was in business economics and finance. So that's what my advantage was. I was able to run these projects and make sure they stayed on budget and stayed on time. And then, when it comes to the paperwork, financial, administrative side to running a project, it came very easy for me. And the other guys were struggling, and so I would help them. Then I was helping my manager with his stuff, and he'd be like, hey, you want to just do the pay estimate for me? I'm like, sure, I can do it. And I would just take care of it and run all the calcs and stuff. And so that became my advantage. And then working with a lot of contractors, I already knew how to talk to contractors.
Yeah.
I grew up with a lot of them. And so, they would talk to me and I'd work with them. And I never came in hard. I never came in aggressive.
Yeah.
I didn't come in with a chip on my shoulder. I just came in, heard them out.
Yeah.
And sometimes they'd be screaming, like very upset because they felt the agency was wronging them and the contract said this and we're doing this. And I just let it all come out. And I'm like, okay, well, so how about if we did this? Let's see if we try this. Does this work for you? And so they were so used to getting a battle with others, and I didn't come in. I didn't come in that way. I was just like, well, okay, well, I just came with a different way of handling business.
Interesting.
And all my contractors, it got to the point where if I asked for something, oh yeah, we'll just take care of it. Don't even worry about it. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
But I will say I did deal with, the looks, the inappropriate comments from contractors. I won't even say some of the stuff I was told.
Yeah, keep it clean now. Come on.
But I dealt with a lot of that because I was 24.
Yeah.
I was young.
Yeah.
I wasn't married. My husband was my boyfriend at the time.
Okay.
And so I would always wear baggy clothes.
Like consciously you would?
Consciously I would, because I just didn't want to be looked at or spoken to a certain way. So I tried to remove all of that. And it was always a button-up shirt that was a size too big with some cargo pants.
Isn't that crazy? Like,
and
I have a daughter now, and I'm thinking of like, to your point, like, you have to wear baggy clothes consciously because how I'm not saying contract, just men in general can be, and it makes you have to operate a certain way, which is unfortunate. But I kind of appreciate appreciate your candor in it, because you could go, no, I'm gonna wear what I want to wear and be who I want to be. But if it's not gonna bode for a good work environment, why go?
If I don't want to deal with a certain comment, I'm gonna take away any. And believe me, I still got comments. It didn't like I still got comments.
Men are men, yeah.
But it was not about what I was wearing.
Okay.
I took that away.
Yeah.
At least I took something away. And so I just would try to ignore it the best I could.
Yeah.
Like some of the comments, they would go a little too far, and I would just be like, okay, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And so I would usually talk to the superintendent of that contract.
Okay.
Or I would talk to one of the owners of that construction company and be like, look, I can't have this guy talking to me like this. I know he's on your crew. I know he does great work, but I need him to stop because it's not okay.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, oh no, like we'll take care of it. Because I would always say, would you want your daughter to deal with it?
Yeah.
And they would be like, no. I go, and they all knew my dad was a contractor.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a lot of them knew. And I think there was maybe one of the contractors that was working on our facility. He wasn't working on any of my projects, but he knew my dad. Okay,
so that your dad operated in the area.
Yeah, my dad worked in the region, and so he knew my dad from, not from construction, but just because of where they live. They live close by, so he knew my dad, and he'd be like, I have to think differently how I speak to people now. And I go, why? He's just like, I've known you for so long and seeing what you're dealing with and some of the stuff that I've heard. He's just like, sometimes I can't even look at your dad. And I said, my dad and I talk about it. Like, it is what it is. Boys will be boys. Yeah. And that's how I said it, because to me, if they're acting that way, they're not men yet.
I get your point.
Like immaturity wise, because they know better.
Yeah, no, for sure.
But that it's not the situation now. Like that was a short period of time in my career, and I laugh about it now. But I also, I get asked a lot by other women that work in the industry that do deal with some things.
Sure.
And so I give them my experience and how I handled it. Not to say that's how they should. I know now when I get told things or I hear things, I make more of an effort to shut it down a lot faster than I used to when I was younger, because there's other women and men looking at how I handle it.
Gotcha. Yeah. How do you handle not overcorrecting? Because I've seen this on whether it's the association side, company side, public agency side. Let's say a minority or a woman minority gets in position, they get power. Now they're on the side of making decisions on who to hire on. And all of a sudden, Lucia hires 10, Latino women to come operate, with the agency. How do you objectively see, like, when you're looking through resumes and interviewing people, like who's the best fit versus you want more women or more minorities within the agency?
Well, I don't put my personal wants into that at all. I'm more about who's the best person for the role based on their skill set, what they have to offer, what's on their resume, what they put in their application. If it's a man, woman, or whatever ethnicity, like I don't really look at that. I really just look at how they answered the questions that we had. And then I look at their experience. I tend not to look at the names.
Okay.
I tend not to look at that part.
Yep.
And I just kind of focus on the questions. Yeah, I click on the name because I got to go through my list. But my biggest focus is, what did they have to say to these questions that we have on the questionnaire? How did they answer that? And then we pull them in. And then if I like, what we got, like 4 out of, let's say we had 10 people, we had 3 women and the rest are men.
Yeah.
And then we interview them. I'm not the only one making the decision. I usually have a panel, and my focus is just on the best qualified candidate.
Gotcha.
And if it works out that it's a female coming in, great. But if it doesn't, it's okay too, because some of these guys that are coming in, they have a lot to offer.
Gotcha.
It's like the women do. So I don't seek it out.
Gotcha. I appreciate your answer in that. Skill sets. Tell us what will be the main skill set somebody should pick up to be successful at a manager of facilities and water systems programs.
Hmm. Well, that's a there's three parts. There's like three really big things that I
Okay.
see. One is adaptability. You got to be very adaptable. Things change fast. Regulate with regards to dealing with different regulations, emergencies that pop up, dealing with budgets and priorities. Those tend to change throughout the year. Sometimes day to day, it just kind of depends. So being able to just flow and run with it is important. People leadership, being able to build trust with your team, like your crews, your line staff, your supervisors, building partnerships with other managers in your departments is important. And then also your partnering agencies. It's relationship building and creating those resources is a big thing. And then the third thing I say is basically being that strategic thinker that's has a calm execution, that you can stay calm and cool and collected because so many people look to you to see how you're going to react. And the way you react is how they're going to move forward. And I don't
Yeah.
want my teams to be like, they're already going to be hyper aware. And like, let's say there's an emergency happening, they're already going to be excited and ready to go. But if they see me like, all right, cool, we got this. You guys got that taken care of. We're good here. Okay. What else do we need? What do you need me to do? When I come in that way and not so like, well, what do you mean? What's going on? How come we're not done with this? How come we're not done with that? Like, it creates a whole different dynamic. And especially in the wastewater industry, like something is always happening, and just being able to stay steady, help others prioritize for yourself, and make some of those sound decisions under a lot of pressure is extremely critical. And then like I guess finally, like part of all of that is just having emotional intelligence. Like all
Mm.
those three things is part of that. So just understanding people makes everything else easier.
Gotcha. Gotcha. You're part of CWA. That's kind of how we met, was at WEFTech. But I want to know what you do intentionally, whether it's your work time or private time. What's your personal and professional development regimen like? How do you continue to show up better and better year after year?
Well, obviously, I do a lot with CWA and connect with people and go to those events that are going on a regular basis. I'm now on the board. I've been on the board. This is my second year for CWA. And as a board member, making sure I'm present when I can be present to events and talk to people and connect. But I'm also a big believer in continued development. So I regularly meet with an executive coach. You know, I'm very intentional about looking at some blind spots and stretching myself. So making sure I'm investing in myself when it comes to like communication and being a strategic leader, looking at those types of things, reading, seeing what books I can find to help me do better. Um, but yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. Like I read a lot on leadership, team culture. So I always want to make sure my team, especially that are influenced by me under my responsibility, that they feel comfortable, supported, and that they can talk to me whenever they need to. And I want that all the way down to the line staff. So, you know, that's a big thing. And then, you know, I lean also on how I am with my kids. And, you know, I also see how they are and how I am with them, you know, and this is IEUA is my second family. So, you know, I'm with them a lot more than sometimes I am with my own kids. So I also use my peers, the other managers that are in the team with us. We lean on each other. We provide critiques and feedback when necessary. You know, if we're in a meeting and I don't have a poker face, so you know if I'm like if I'm vibing or not with something. And so sometimes one of them will text me like, "Fix your face." I'm like, "Oh yeah."
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
"Was it really bad?" "No, it wasn't bad, but I can tell with you." I'm like,
Yeah.
"You've known me too long." But so, you know, having awareness and taking
Yeah.
others, you know, support is important.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Let's say you're commissioned to put up a billboard, and this billboard is in the most trafficked area of Inland Empire. What ask of your community in regards to facilities and water systems programs would you put on this billboard?
Protect your pipes. Protect your pipes.
Okay.
Only flush the 3 Ps.
Yeah.
We know what the 3 Ps are?
Poop, paper, and what was the other one?
P.
Produce. Oh, yeah.
The
Gotcha.
3 Ps. Like, people
3 Ps.
don't realize how much damage wipes and trash cause.
But they say flushable, though. What do you mean? Like, they say flushable on the package.
You know, just because it's flushable, it says flushable doesn't mean it's going to disintegrate as quickly as we need it to. Like, toilet paper is going to disintegrate.
What do you mean quickly? It never does. There's guys with like jars with 2-year-old wipes in them, and they still are the same wipe.
I know, we have a couple of those.
Do you? Okay.
But if you're gonna use a wipe, put it in the trash can.
Yeah.
Put it in the trash can. You're better off. A lot of people just put them down, and you're not just gonna affect the sewer system.
Yeah.
But you're gonna probably cause some issues within your own home when
Yeah.
it comes to your pipes, because your pipes are a lot smaller than ours.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. All right. I always like to leave a space on the show for you to thank mentors that you had along your journey. And then I want you to give a Lucia Diaz word of inspiration and motivation to your fellow manager of facilities and water system counterparts.
Okay, so let's see. Words of motivation, mentors I want to thank. I've really been blessed with so many that really trusted me early on in my career. And that have opened the door. So one, obviously, like I said, David Mendez, he really gave me my start here at the agency and supported me. He was a great mentor. I've also had a couple others of Randy Lee. He's still here at the agency. I've worked with him on and off throughout the years, and he's always been a great supporter and mentor, and always challenging me to go that next level. And it's always been great. And then also Chander Letulle, he was that advocate. He really pushed me. And
He's
really
been on a podcast before.
Oh, has he? Yeah.
Yeah.
He was one that was
Harupa. Yeah.
Harupa Community Services District. Yeah, when he was there. He worked here at IEUA, and he was a big advocate for me, and he was my boss at one point. He was a great boss. But all three of those men, they've all been really great. And there's been some women as well that have really been significant. Martha Davis, she's now back in Northern California, but she was an executive here when I first started, and she really allowed me to try a lot of different programs and projects and be a part of a lot of things that I probably wouldn't have been a part of if she wasn't here. And I think, like, the biggest message I would say, like, you don't need to be the loudest person in the room, but if you stay consistent, if you stay curious, and you just keep showing up, the work that you do is going to speak for itself, because people are watching and seeing what you're doing. So that's the biggest things.
Okay. I can agree with that for sure. All right. The most important question. Let's say I'm coming to town. I'm coming to, let's say, the Inland Empire agent. No, let's just do Chino. Let's say I'm coming to Chino, and I text you ahead of time. I say, Lucia, where can I go to get the best burger in town? Where are you going to send me?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you 2 places.
Okay.
Everyone in Southern California, we always like to go to In-N-Out.
Oh, come on, no chains.
But one of the places I like to go on a regular for lunch, it's Archibald's Burgers. It's really close to our office.
Okay.
And they have other things other than burgers, but they have great burgers. And I love their fries. And honestly, anything I order there is always good.
Okay. Archibald's it is. All right, Lucia, thanks for hopping on the podcast today. Thanks for sharing your wealth of information and knowledge. To all the listeners out there, make sure you share this with somebody who you think needs to hear it. Lucia, any final words before we get out of here?
No, thank you for the opportunity and reaching out. I appreciate it. It was fun.
Sure. All right. Well, thanks for not leaving me on red forever. And Thanks for hopping on the show. This has been the Public Works Podcast, and thank you everybody for tuning in.